All right, welcome to part 2 of chapter 10. So don't forget to take the notes, guys. All right, so we're left off. We're going to start with printers now. And first thing we're going to talk about is the laser printer. I want to get into that immediately, so I want you to write these down. This is important. It is really important to understand how the laser printer works. So once you understand how it works, it'll be easy to troubleshoot if you run into any problems on how to maintain it and whatever that you need to do with it. All right, so the laser printer, where they work by placing a toner on an electrically charged rotating drum called the imaging drum, transferring the toner onto a paper as the paper moves through the system, and then fusing the toner to the paper. All right, so I'm going to ask you to write down those 7 steps, and I'll go over them one by one. Uh, the first step is processing the image. The page comes to the printer encoded in a language that the printer understands. And then the firmware inside the printer processes the incoming data to produce a bitmap, a bunch of bits in a row and columns of the final page, and which is stored on the printer memory. The second step is when what's going to happen is we're charging or conditioning the drum. That's by the roller, and that places a high uniform electrical charge of -600 to -1000 volts on the surface of the drum. So if you ever open up a printer to play around this, be very, very careful, because this can kill you actually. Number 3, exposing or writing. This is a laser beam that controlled by motors, and a mirror scans across the drum until it completes the correct number of passes. Step number 4, developing. The developing cylinder applies the toner to the surface of the drum. The toner is charged between -200 and 500 volts and sticks to the developing cylinder because of the magnet inside. I know I'm reading this for you, but as the best way to, I want you to be able to listen and write it. So this way you'll have a good understanding if you are ever asked or you need to troubleshoot, you'll have an idea. At least it's sunk into your head. All right, step number 5, transferring. When you have a strong electrical charge rolls the donor of the drum onto the paper. Fusing is when you use heat and pressure to fuse the toner to the paper. Up to this point, the toner is merely sitting on paper. And number 7, cleaning. There's going to be a sweeping blade that cleans the drum of any residue toner. All right. A printer that is able to print on both sides is called a duplex or a print. Not all printers do that. Most laser printer do. Few inkjet printers do that. An inkjet printer includes one or more ink cartridges. I don't know if you see it like these. That can hold different colors. If you want to print, I have that at home. You have a stepper motor that moves the print head and ink cartridges across the paper using a cartridge and a belt. And a belt move assembly and stabilizing bar to control the movement. There's a stabilizing bar right there. Even with a single side printing, inkjet printers tend to smudge on inexpensive paper, and they are slower than laser printers. And by the way, if you don't use the toner in there for a long time, they may dry out. But with laser printer, you can use the toner for years. So even though they might cost a little bit expensive, the toner should last you a little bit longer. If a printed, by the way, with inkjet, if a printed page later becomes damp, the ink can run and get quite messy. So the quality of the paper that you use is important. You should only use paper that is designed for inkjet printers. Then you got the old impact printers, the dot matrix. There's also the thermal printers and 3D printers. I'm not going to get into that. I mean, there's really not a lot of these around, but you should know that they do exist. All right. A printer connects to a single computer or typically a network, either wired or wireless. So installing a local or a network printer, you need to remember that the driver might come on a CD that is also um, has the printer apps on it. So you can do a lot of your printing right off of that app. Okay. Securing a shared printer. If you have a printer that is shared by everyone, a local printer, you can click on the security tab to manage who has access to the printer permission that is allowed. Don't allow caching to either the hard drive because people can actually get what's being printed later on. The attackers. To change the Windows default setting for spooling, click on the Advanced tab of the printer properties box that's shown on 1028 figure. So where's the 1028 figure? If you go to the 1028 figure, which is about, wait, let me see, move. That's 1026 right here. Okay. So select the print directly to the printer. Not spooling to the hard drive slows down the printing process in exchange for better security, of course. You probably want to do that. For cloud computing, that means you can print to a printer anywhere on the internet from a personal computer or a mobile device connected to the internet. So that's something you need to think about if you need to do that. After the printer is installed, use the printer properties box to manage the printer features or hardware devices installed on the printer. You can also manage many of the printer settings and features through the printer own utilities, the apps that you may get, which might be installed on the application on your computer when you got the CD. Remember the safety tips. If you are opening up, that's cloud printing. If you're going to open up a printer and you're troubleshooting it and you're trying to fix it, a couple of things to remember. It's very dangerous. There's a lot of high voltage electricity, extremely dangerous. So you want to unplug it from the wall and wait a little bit. Okay? They're hot to touch, especially the rollers and the toners, be very careful. It could be messy and could be toxic. You want to wear gloves and sometimes a mask. You're working with laser beams in there, static electricity. Don't forget to use your electrostatic wrist strap, right? Don't forget that. Printer needs to be periodically cleaned and calibrated. Calibrated means you need to align and clean the inkjet nozzles, which can solve a problem when colors appear streaked or out of alignment. To calibrate the printer, you might use the menu on the printer control panel. They usually have that. Just scroll down on the menu on your printer and just choose, calibration, and it will do that themselves. Or you may use the software that comes bundled on the CD if you install that on your on an app on your device. All right, the manufacturers of high-end printers will provide maintenance kits. So you can purchase those maintenance kits if you want, those high ends. If you work for Xerox or one of these big companies, they'll give you a maintenance kits that you can go through to make sure that the printer, can go through its life cycle. All right, troubleshooting printers. So let's talk about that. Did we start with that yet or not? Okay, that's maintenance. So you can go through these steps one by step. Now, what happens? Okay, I'm going to write these down. So troubleshooting printers, please go over the troubleshooting suggestions that's starting on this page, 545. I'm not going to be able to, I don't want to go over and read every single problem and what the probable cause and what you should do, but I'm definitely going to mention them and you should definitely go and read them. Part of a desk help, if you are on the phone or you're going to be on the premises of your client, and he has a printer problem, this is a good reference word to always go to. So please at least go in there and read the details. All right, so you are expected to know this. All right, so what happens if the printer doesn't print? All right, probably a good idea to follow this chart. That's let me remind you, it's figure 1048. What happened when you have printer problem on an application? Okay, so follow these steps. Problems printing from Windows. One of the first things you should do is ping the printer. See if you can ping the printer, and it replies that you have connection. If the printer doesn't reply, that means it may not have the correct IP address. Okay. Problem with the printer itself. Maybe there's jam paper in there that you need to take care of. Okay, but usually the printer will tell you that. If you have problems with connectivity, okay, internet connectivity or LAN connectivity, depending on where you're printing from. If you have poor print quality for laser or inkjet, what do you do? Right? So just make sure you follow these steps. If you have grappled characters, low memory errors, okay, and low print colors. So again, please follow these, and it will definitely be very, very helpful. All right. I don't think I asked you to write a lot, if I'm not mistaken. So whatever I asked you to write, please submit that as homework, and that will end chapter 10. And we'll be going into starting software. We'll start with Windows on the next chapter, in chapter 11. All right, I'll see you on chapter 11. Don't forget to submit whatever I asked you to submit, to write.